Well, good afternoon, LinkedIn Live. Welcome to Learning from Leaders. My name is Kevin Hickey, Head of Partnerships at TurnKey Lender. Today, we're excited to welcome Craig Raney, Strategic Partnership Manager at REPAY, the leader in real-time electronic payments. Craig, welcome to LinkedIn Live. How are you doing today?
Kevin, good to see you and talk to you. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, and it's great to be partners. I'd like to give you the floor and tell us a little bit about REPAY.
Yeah, no, so I guess the real high-level view here is, REPAY, we're a full-service payment gateway company. We're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and right now we're supporting about 15,000 merchant locations across U.S. and really since our inception, the cornerstone of REPAY, putting clients first and just innovating in payment technology. So just seeing a ton of growth here over the last few years.
And it's a force to reckon with, for sure. One thing, that I've noticed in the industry is, REPAY has undoubtedly had a positive impact across the board. What was the driving force behind creating REPAY?
I'd have to start with, probably the founders, John Morris, Shaler Elias, who founded REPAY in 2006. And really, it was just addressing that one largely underserved vertical in the payments landscape, and that was just lending and consumer finance. There was a need for faster, more real-time payments, hence the name REPAY, right? Keep it simple. So consumers wanted to make payments via debit card to know immediately within, a couple seconds if a payment was successful or not. And, I'm sure like you do and your users remember Operation Choke Point. I mean, heck, almost 10 years ago that kind of shook up our industry when lenders got cut off from their traditional bank processing, and REPAY was able to put together a program for debit card processing, and that was through our sponsor banks. And that solved a huge problem, and REPAY was really the only one out there providing that service. And those same banks, I mean, we're still with those guys today. So from lending, we've moved on to a couple other key verticals like B2B, AP, automotive, and just seen a ton of traction in credit unions recently. Our focus, it's digitizing payments throughout the whole payments ecosystem. Basically, wherever a payment can happen, if it's IVR, over the phone, text to pay, mobile, web-based, we want to be the technology that can process that payment securely. And currently we're processing about I think 15 billion, but we've seen a total addressable market of 4.7 trillion in just that handful of verticals. So just a huge opportunity for growth, and the reason why we look to add valuable partners and work with TurnKey to kind of complement that system and grow this thing out together.
Absolutely. And when you're at the tip of the spear, like REPAY is, you're setting the stage for others to follow. So here at TurnKey, we're very fortunate to be part of that. So thank you. This past year, I tell you, we look back on it now and we could just, shake our heads like, wow, this was a really crazy year, right? But the past year with the pandemic, it had a tremendous impact on business and in people's lives. So how did REPAY cope with these dynamic changes?
Yeah, no, it's crazy to even think about that back then. I mean, heck, over the weekend, got to go to a Cardinal baseball game and, saw some homers, saw some managers get tossed, and, it's kind of like one of these nature's is healing type things. But, thinking back to that was, it was wild. I mean, the first thing that they did at REPAY, and it just, kind of the top, make sure our employees are safe, are okay, and then making sure that the work from home setups were still, giving us the tools that we needed to start reaching out to customers and, keeping those communication lines open. And then, after we kind of got that squared away, the dust settled, and, there was a realization that, we had a tech stack that was going to be pretty useful. So, we saw just a ton of changes in how payments are accepted. And it seemed like the last thing a paying customer wanted to do was touch anything at that point, much less a credit card terminal. So we were in a decent spot there. We saw it's just maybe a faster adoption rate for businesses moving to digitize their payments and go after new payment methods really. So, we work with quite a few brick and mortar lenders, and these guys needed to move fast on providing new ways for customers to pay remotely. We needed to give those businesses another avenue to fund loans to fund those loans electronically now. So REPAY was pretty much in an advanced position to meet that need. What else? I mean, also in the B2B space, we saw employees that they're not anymore, right? They don't have access to these paper checks. They don't have access to accounting systems. So there was some scrambling to pay vendors, and we had solutions ready to go to allow them to pay those vendors electronically. So they were able to leverage us there. And, it just appears that there's a lot of technology that was adopted maybe a little quicker than would have been had the pandemic not happened. In sales, you're reaching out to a lot of folks, and it's, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type crowd. So those guys kind of had their hand forced, and I think really kind of opened their eyes on how some processes could be a little bit easier. So, we've gained customers in that aspect, and, hopefully we'll keep them for a long time down the road here.
Isn't that something, how something so chaotic that can flip the world upside down has everyone taken a look not only at their personal portfolio and how they want to handle themselves generally in the marketplace, but businesses as well. And one of the great things that I've noticed with REPAY is the fact that, like TurnKey, you have a very dynamic spirit, not just with the company, but also with the offerings. And being able to dynamically shift with, people and businesses in a case like this was really something. So, hats off to REPAY. And again, it's just a credit to your organization.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Looking further, how has the evolution of the fintech industry affected REPAY?
Yeah, no, it's funny. Before fintech, we were solely looked at as a payments processor, right? We're kind of the boring company, who're doing payments and just terminals, that kind of thing. But now we're looked at as a software company that has a focus on payments, and fintech's kind of the hot button word, and tons of M&A happening around fintech. So hey, we kind of got a little seat at the cool kid table here at this point, but you just you understand that you can't just offer card processing. You've got to come to the table with a value add. Customers are looking for ways to chop up data, reporting tools. They need help on which days are best to collect on in those systems. So those are all things we can provide. And with fintech, I mean, it's all about innovation. So we understand we can't be all things to all businesses. We don't claim to be, but REPAY has identified those key market segments to hyper focus on and serve them. And the size of our company, even with the large growth, we're 300 plus employees, but we're still nimble enough to customize solutions and fit a need if it's there. A quick example is our instant funding product. So not only do we have tools to allow businesses to accept various credit, debit, ACH, or EFT in Canada, but we saw a need to fund those loans immediately to a customer as well. So this instant funding product has really gained a ton of traction.
Yeah, and again, it's a real strong testimony to the dynamics that REPAY brings to the marketplace. And we could look at the last two topics we discussed, and there's a sense of REPAY who transcends the marketplace in the fact that you're working with companies that maybe weren't there yet, but now chaos hits the world. You're the one steady stream that people can rely on. So that speaks volumes again for the leadership and for the people inside of REPAY. When we look at the most efficient ways to digitize payments as part of the unified lending management process, REPAY comes to mind, and I'd like to give you the floor to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, lending, I mean, that's where we got our start. So that's where the main focus is. And, we're using technology for, really as a capture source for the information as early in the transaction as possible. So, relying on a platform that can recognize universal tokens, that gives consumers access to their payment tokens through all the different channels of the technology stack. So, I mean, that same token that's used for IVR, mobile, web, text, it's just easier. So we're just capturing personal information, payment information, so there's no need to enter it down the line. So really just trying to streamline it and make it easier and cut down on dual entry, multiple entry points.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And, when you look at the partnership between TurnKey Lender and REPAY, it's a combination of two very, very strong but complementary solutions. And, how do you think the partnership between our two organizations powers payments for creditors and borrowers?
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's awesome so far working with TurnKey. I think there's, just a huge cultural fit. I think we're really on the same page as far as, empowering employees. I think there's, the partners are really at the core of what we do. So we're constantly looking for, best-in-class solutions to work with that help attract new customers, and TurnKey's the perfect fit there. We value the TurnKey Lender that you guys have, just a super innovative technology platform. Like I said, customer-centric culture, and it's obvious both our companies just put a huge value on employees and empowering team members. When someone jumps on board, they tend to stay with there and kind of grow their career. So I think that's similar, and our teams have collaborated to deliver. I mean, the main thing, just that instant payment processing to customers in the lending consumer finance vertical, and planning to keep that trend up for a long time here.
And we are looking forward to a very long and prosperous partnership. Winding down here, the role of AI in integrations and streamlining digital lending process of any business type. What is REPAY's approach in this realm?
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good question, and it's awesome. Like, just seeing the demos that you provide with TurnKey. I mean, just super innovative with AI. I mean, you guys are kind of leading the way there. In our world, AI can be used to vet and score transaction as it's originating, along with using AI to determine best days to collect payment methods from the consumer. So we want to maximize those payments, and AI it has a place along the whole path of collecting payments, and ensuring that you're just not aging your base.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And for the final question today, what advice would you give a person starting out in the fintech space?
Man, you really gotta love what you do, and just absolutely hate free time, I guess. But really, the business needs to be ready to invest in interactive technology. I think technology to keep their customer close at just that branch level. Your customers at a location, they used to be within a 5-mile radius. So you need to invest in tools to interact and eliminate the space that's just there between you and the customer, and that could be hundreds of thousands of miles away. So you always hear about the terms like disruption, which sounds good on the pitch deck, but I don't think you can lose sight of the customer-centric nature of the business, or overlooking experienced live customer support, tech support. The main focus, really can't always be users and scaling, but really understanding your customers and, just realizing the problem you're solving and really being available. So kind of like today, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. The fintech space is all about dynamics and digitization. And, the further, this is an industry that's going to be constantly evolving. And when we have partners like REPAY, our future just remains very bright. And, can't thank you enough for your time. To the audience, I'd like to see if there were any questions. We do have one in the chat window for you, Craig. It comes from Evgen Makeda. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Greetings. Are there any metrics that indicate to REPAY that technology adoption has significantly grown amongst audiences who weren't embracing fintech solutions before?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We kind of see it on a monthly basis, right? Just the growth of the portfolio. You're seeing just more and more adoption where, hey, you've got these standard processing methods or traditional payment methods, but as we slice and dice that data, you're seeing, hey, which one of those payments came through that traditional, maybe a web portal, but now you're seeing what percentage has grown with text to pay options or additional more or electronic bill presentment. We're just able to chop that data up and see where those growth sectors and which methods those are coming in on.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more on that. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. If there's no additional questions, Craig, thank you so much for joining today. As I mentioned countless times on other calls and earlier, it's an absolute privilege working with you, Susan, and the rest of the team. I think the world of this organization, as well as the partnership. And, we're very humbled to be partnering with REPAY. And we can't thank you all enough for allowing us to help grow with you. If there's any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Greg or the team here at TurnKey Lender. We're going to be happy to help in any way we can. And, you reach out to one of us, you're reaching out to both of us. That's how tight the partnership is. And any other company that works with TurnKey Lender, the partnerships are really, really tight and properly aligned. So, Craig, again, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to our next call next week.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, Kevin. Sounds good. Looking forward to grabbing dinner when things open up here.
Absolutely. Virtual high fives. There you go.
Yeah.